Have you ever wondered about the personal life of Moses? We know him as the great prophet who led the Israelites out of Egypt, received the 10 Commandments, and spoke with God face to face. But what about Moses, the man, the husband, the father? The Bible actually tells us about 2 women he married, and their stories add a fascinating layer to his epic journey. Let's start with his first wife, Zipporah. Their story begins after Moses flees Egypt, having struck down an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew. He escapes into the wilderness of Midian. Can you imagine the change? From a prince of Egypt to a fugitive in the desert. One day, while resting by a well, he sees 7 sisters trying to water their father's flock, but some shepherds are driving them away. Moses, ever the defender of the just, steps in and helps them. These women were the daughters of a man named Ruel, also known as Jethro, who was a priest of Midian. When they get home early, their father asks how it happened. They tell him about the Egyptian who saved them. Jethro, a man of hospitality, insists they invite Moses back for a meal. This meeting leads to a major life change for Moses. Jethro gives his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. For the next 40 years, Moses lives as a shepherd in Midian, and together they have 2 sons, Gershom and Eleazar. Zipporah wasn't just a background character. She plays a crucial role in a very strange and intense moment. After God calls Moses from the burning bush to go back to Egypt, Moses takes his family and heads out. On the way, the Bible says, God sought to kill Moses. It's a shocking verse, but Zipporah acts fast. She takes a flint knife, circumcises her son, and touches Moses' feet with the foreskin, declaring, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." At that, God lets him go. Her quick, decisive action, rooted in her understanding of covenant, literally saves Moses' life. She understood the gravity of the situation and did what needed to be done. Sometime after this, it seems, Zipporah and their sons returned to her father Jethro for safety while Moses confronts Pharaoh. We see them reunite later in the book of Exodus, after the Israelites have crossed the Red Sea. Jethro brings Zipporah and her 2 sons in the wilderness, and it's a joyful reunion. But Zipporah isn't the only wife mentioned. Years later, in the book of Numbers, we find a very brief but intriguing reference. It says that Miriam and Aaron, Moses' own siblings, began to speak against him because of the cussed woman whom he had married, for he had married a cussed woman. Who was this cussed woman? The term Cushite typically referred to someone from Cush, a region south of Egypt, often associated with ancient Ethiopia or Nubia. This means she was a black woman, a foreigner to the Israelites. The Bible doesn't give us her name or any details about how or when they married. Some scholars speculate that this could be another name for Zipporah, as Midian was sometimes associated with regions near Cush. Others believe this was a second wife Moses married after Zipporah had passed away. The text doesn't focus on the marriage itself, but on Miriam and Aaron's reaction. They use his marriage as an excuse to challenge his unique authority, asking, "Has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also?" God's response is swift and powerful. He rebukes Miriam and Aaron, affirming Moses' special relationship with him. Miriam is struck with leprosy as a punishment, and only through Moses' prayer for her is she healed. This story is significant. It highlights the prejudice they held, but more importantly, it shows God's defense of Moses and, by extension, his choice of a wife. God doesn't condemn Moses for marrying a Cushite woman. The problem was the jealousy and pride in Miriam and Aaron's hearts. So we have Zipporah, the Midianite daughter of a priest, a quick-witted woman who saved her husband's life. And we have the unnamed Cushite woman, whose marriage sparked a challenge to Moses' leadership, but ultimately reaffirmed his unique calling. These two marriages paint a richer picture of Moses. They show him not just as a monumental spiritual leader, but as a man who built a family and whose life was intertwined with women from outside his own tribe. His story reminds us that God's plan often works through unexpected people and relationships, breaking down cultural and ethnic barriers. What do you think about these stories? It's amazing how even small details in the Bible can open up a whole new perspective on its most famous figures. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the biblical world.